record. Okay, good morning. So today's February, great. Today's September 28th. We probably wish it was February. We were past all this, right? So today is actually the last scheduled idea share, because at the time we're like, well, we'll do this for a while, you know, we'll all be back in our buildings by then. And of course, that's not the case. So I did hear back from several of you that you would like to continue doing these on a somewhat regular basis. So what we're going to do is, starting October, we're going to do the first Monday of each month. So that's actually next week. And we'll do, so the first Monday of each month at noon Eastern time. So it'll look just the same as this. But I think so many of us have started to really appreciate having this group as like a support group. And so we will continue to meet on a monthly basis, and hopefully, you know, we kept it Monday because obviously that works for this crowd. So we'll continue to record them too, and I'll figure out where to host them, because at some point maybe we're not talking necessarily coronavirus anymore, but we'll just continue to host these. And then we'll also continue to have our third Wednesday of each month Disability Ministry Video Roundtable, where we will have specific topics. So, and we've picked kind of a fun topic for October, so don't laugh, okay? But we want to talk about, and I forget what the title is, but it's basically going to be like, okay, Christmas. What's Christmas going to look like in our ministries in 2020? So, and I know it seems like really early to be talking about Christmas, but as we know, working in churches, we're already talking about Christmas. So stay tuned. That'll be on the events page in the next, well, by tomorrow at the latest. Let's see, how do we want to start? Does anybody have a report on what's new this week for you? I know Bronwyn does. She sent me pictures. So who would like to get us started today? Yeah, Julie.
Okay, so we had an announcement from our pastor yesterday that every ministry is back in service at our church right now. It looks a lot different than it did back in February. Maybe that's why you say February.
Yeah, maybe.
It's a lot different, but every ministry is now doing something. And so I wanted to report on ours. We had asked for prayer from you guys for our new life group that we were starting on Sunday mornings, and that we wanted to make it an all-inclusive, everybody's invited, every age group, no matter what your walk in life is, whether you're married or not married, have kids, don't have kids, whatever. And God is doing a thing. We got 15 people in the last 2 weeks to join this group.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really cool. Some people are coming from other churches who are not meeting. Mm-hmm. Some people are staying at home because for various reasons, and they're local. Some people are joining us from across the country on Zoom, because we have the Zoom component as well as the in-person component. So it's been really, we've got somebody from Washington State, somebody from Maryland, somebody from an hour away here in Virginia that are joining us on Zoom. There's a divorced mom whose husband won't let her son go back to church yet. So she can join us. She's local, but she can join us because we have the Zoom component. So that has been a huge blessing.
Yeah, the confidence that we've received from being part of you guys and being on Zoom has really helped set up the Zoom. And so we had to figure out, well, how does Zoom fit into a live class? So there's a few people that are live and more that are on Zoom. And so we just figured, well, it's just another person sitting in another seat. Okay. We'll just perfect it. And so Julie will sit next to the computer if somebody on the Zoom call has something to say within the class. So it's working real well. We're going through the book of Mark, and lots of discussion. So we appreciate the confidence that we've gotten from here.
For sure, that you guys have really been such an inspiration to us, every single one of you.
Yes.
And the other report I wanted to give is our women's ministry. I've always hosted a table, or a few years, I've hosted a table of moms who have kids with special needs at our women's ministry Bible studies. And usually it's a big, there's probably like 300 or 400 people in the room. And well, we can't do that now. So they have brought it back, and they said only 4 people per table. well, I have 13 women at my table. And how do you pick who gets invited to come sit at your table? So because we're so confident now with Zoom, I said, okay, ladies, we can do that. But then, you know, a lot of you aren't going to be able to come and sit at my table. You could have another table. And they were like, no, I don't want to do that. So we are doing the same study. They're sending it to us, the video to us, and the questions to us. And we're doing it through Zoom, and we start actually tomorrow afternoon. So, so we can still participate in women's Bible study, but it looks a whole lot different than it did. So some are doing it in person, and there are lots of tables that have 4 people at them. But you know, the social distancing and all that has to happen, and people have to wear masks. But we don't have to do that because we're doing it from Zoom. So it's great to have those opportunities.
That is fantastic. Thank you so much for getting us kicked off this morning. I'm trying not to cry. It's just, you guys are an encouragement to all of us too. So thank you for, well, also thank you for being like one of the first ones out there, you know, doing things. That's just fantastic. And how great to hear that every ministry in your church is doing something, and that you figured out how to involve people that aren't ready to be back in your building yet. So, wow, that's a huge praise, and thank you to you too.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, I think we can just be done, right? I'm filled up for the day. Who else would like to share what's going on?
I could go.
Okay, great, thank you.
I turn off my video so I don't sound like a robot, because sometimes it happens. So again, California out here, we had our first in-person Sunday anything. It wasn't like part of a church service. We did a family field day in our like big outdoor spaces that we've created. And so we had about like 65 people come. So it's about 20 something families, which was like, I was shooting for like, hey, if we get 15, that's a good day. And so it was only from like 9:30 to 10:45, and we have like redwood tree stumps, kids, it's like in a big grove they can run around on. There's hay bales, there's like all kind of stuff. There's like trikes that we would normally have. We put all the trikes and bikes out, and they ran around with those. And so it was really fun. And most everyone said, like, we are just so happy to see other people. They said, like, there are people we haven't seen in person for like 6-7 months. And everyone wore a mask. It was really windy because, like, of course, we can't just have like a normal day to do anything here. It was really windy. So there's like one little boy, he was like a preschooler, and his mask was like blowing off. And so he was like trying to like put it back on. But everybody was really great. It was just such a good time. It was for like the whole kids ministry. So a lot of inclusion families came. It was great.
That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I got to see a picture of it, and I was so happy to see that. That's awesome. All right, who else? Yes, Barb.
Okay, well, everything at our church ministry is still going the same as it has been since we relaunched a while ago. So that's going really well. But we are making some headway with Wonderful Works with getting some strategic partnerships and getting ready to apply for grants. So if you guys just be in prayer for us on that, that's kind of been our big news. And with that, I didn't know if there's anyone on here, and maybe later this week or at your convenience, would mind talking to me for a couple minutes about if you do consulting, because I'm going to be writing a business proposal this week. We're trying to figure out how to do that. So that's what we've got going on.
Okay, great. So if you want to reach out to Barb about Wonderful Works, if you could maybe reach out in the chat, or Barb, maybe if you could put your contact info in the chat, and then people can get in touch with you.
That'd be great.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
We had our third buddy break this Saturday, and we smaller numbers. We ran 2 sessions, 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon. We included siblings for the first time because we'd been limiting just to special needs kids for fear the numbers would get too large. And again, it went really well. Most of everything was outside. In Southern California, LA Ventura County Child Care has some different stipulations in church, so we have a little more freedom. So we had a big indoor room where we did a puppet show, set chairs up with social distancing, and kids really enjoyed that. But we've had 3 without any incidents of sickness. And again, parents who are ready to come back have just been so blessed to be able to do that. We do Awana at our church as well. For typical kids, Awana this year is going to be remote as we start, but we got permission for our special needs kids to actually have an adaptive Awana in person. It'll be our 3rd or 4th year that we've done the adoptive, but just for our special needs kids. And again, we'll use social distancing, and because it's considered part of the child care thing, we can do that inside. So we're looking forward to them being able to actually be back in the building, because of course that rebuilding that familiarity before everything opens up will be very, very helpful to them. So we're excited.
That's great. Wow, all kinds of good news today. Who else? Or who wants to share what struggles you're having? Sylvia.
Yeah, here in Maryland, in Prince George's County, basically we're still in phase 2. So nothing is open for our church. There are other smaller churches that are open, but we did a virtual buddy break this weekend. We made stress balls. We had sent all of the supplies home. Well, we had given all of the supplies to the families last month when we did our backpack distribution. So they had everything. And we just put either flour or cornstarch or whatever soft stuff you had in your balloon, cutting things off and demonstrating. We visually demonstrated how to do it, and the parents just kind of logged on with the kids and helped them to do it. So that's what we are doing. And we do have virtual Sunday school class for them. And we have new children joining every Sunday, so, and they're excited, so we send activities home for them to do. And basically that's where we are. I'm in the midst of a conversation with the school system about services that are not being adequately provided for our special needs. So I've contacted the school system CEO and all of the school board officers and the special education officer to have a conversation about how we're going to implement services and supports for children with special needs and their families.
What an awesome thing that you're doing, reaching out and kind of partnering, collaborating with the local school district. That will be amazing. We'll definitely need reports on that. Thank you. In the chat, Ellen asked Brett about, does Awana provide the adaptive format? And Brett answered that they is Johnny and Friends, correct?
Actually, it's our church, Calvary Community Church, Westlake Village. Our pastor's on the board of Awana, so we have a tight relationship with Awana.
Oh, okay. Okay. Sorry. I had you affiliated also. Okay. I'm sorry.
I do work for Johnny and Friends, but I'm also involved in my church. So you're right on both accounts.
Okay. So I wasn't completely off base there. I was kind of embarrassed for a second. Okay. Awesome. Well, what a great resource. Thank you, Brett. All right. Who else wants to share?
I have a quick. This is our, this past weekend was our 3rd weekend being back, you know, with all programming going, everything, kids, community groups, you know, as much as, you know, came back. We've changed our service time so that it's more spread out so that we can get everybody in and then literally everybody out between services, which has really helped with our parking lots a lot, doing it that way. We have had several of our special needs families come back, not the same ones each week, but that's par for the course with us always. We just being a mega church, that's just what it is. But yesterday, I was just so happy to have 2 brand new families come with their kids. And at this time of pandemic, for them to feel safe, even coming to a church that had over 1,000 people packed in with no social distancing at our 11 o'clock service, our rooms were safe. I had to try to find a parent. Our system was down for putting up the contact number. Parents, I mean, I don't blame them. God was great. It was sort of like the drop and dash. Like the parents that came, I think, just needed the break so bad that like we didn't have, like the system wasn't even updated with the current cell phone number. And I mean, I had told, you know, the volunteers and staff in there, I'm like, get a phone number. And I'm like, no, we didn't have time. They were all coming at once. And they just left. So I'm in there with like 1,000 people trying to find a parent because the child had wet herself, and we eventually found clothes in a storeroom. But I think it was that the parents just that were there so needed it. And I would say of the 3 weeks, I have a list somewhere, but and I keep in touch with the parents, but all of them that have come back have also already gone back to school. So the parents that aren't bringing their kids are the ones that have opted to stay home with their kids, which is not unexpected, I don't think. So, but so far, the kids, because they have to wear masks at school for the most part, they are keeping their masks on. We're having a little extra grace in our rooms, more so than in the typical rooms, because we have self-contained rooms. And so it's just been going great. I just, you know, we had our staff prayer time this morning, and I was just thanking God that he brings the right volunteers. A lot of volunteers aren't ready to come back. Some of our kids aren't ready to come back. So it just really works up so that we have had really good ratios. So I just am feeling more confident with each week, and touching up with the new families, that they were just all on top of the fact that we were being safe and that we're trying very hard to do the masks. That's a good report.
That's great. Thank you. That's a good report. Bob, I think did you have a report to give, or a question or comment?
Just letting people know what I'm doing is I'm putting together a Bible study, and I'm going to be doing it as a hybrid, both here locally in person, as well as doing it online through Zoom, and putting the videos up on YouTube. And it's specific for people with disabilities.
Great. Thank you. And tell us a little bit more about your church, Bob.
Well, I'm with the Archdiocese of Detroit, and we've been making efforts to make sure that there is inclusion. And here within the Thumb, out of my local parish, that's been our movement, is to make sure that people within the Thumb area can be included, but not necessarily just limited to parish life, but really incorporating people with disabilities into the full parish activities, even if it means volunteering in offices, those sorts of things, where we have college students who were able to do their internships, and trying to fully encompass inclusion within those means.
Great. Thank you very much for sharing that. Thanks for what you're doing. All right, Al is having some internet challenges. Darn, Al, I was going to ask you what your background was earlier. It was very beautiful, whatever it was. But he says that Liquid Church in New Jersey has outdoor services at 2 campuses for the last 3 Sundays and through late October, weather permitting. No special needs ministry is going yet, but kids ministry virtual small groups for all ages is going. No live kids ministry going. Most kids are still in school virtually in New Jersey, but some will start up in person this week. So that's another example of it's kind of mirroring what the schools are doing. And just like Sylvia in Maryland, you know, those kids aren't back in school in person yet either. So, all right, that's good to know what's going on up there in New Jersey. Anybody else?
I just wanted to thank Doc. I think it was a few weeks ago, but I wasn't there live, so I watched it recorded, but talking about the behaviors, to expect the behaviors, all the comments, I don't have my notes in front of me, but I went over those with my volunteers and my staff. and right on point. I mean, I was glad for the heads up because we had behaviors. I mean, with that many weeks and months away, at least we were prepared for them. So thank you for that.
Yeah, that's great. Doc, do you want to remind us what that resource or how they can find that resource, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So Diana's referring to one of our talk with docs. We did a dealing with how to deal with behavior when you're reopening, and you can find the broadcast to that on our YouTube page. You can just go to YouTube and then type in Source Special Needs, and you'll be able to find all of ours. This week, actually, we are going to have a disability ministry panel. And we're going to actually be talking on reopening and just a bunch with that, as well as how do we get the volunteers and what training you need and how to get them all back and involved as well. So we'll be digging a little bit more into that. So that'll be again this Friday from noon to 1 Central Time, and you can sign up at soarspecialneeds.org to find all the information for that.
Timely topic indeed, no matter where you are in the process. That's for sure. Thank you for doing that, Doc. Jennifer shared a link in the chat, and it's a link to a video that was shared in their Special Needs Awareness Weekend on their employment program and a quick overview of their program. So I think most of you know, oh, there she is. Okay, most of you know Jennifer is with a very large church, and so I can't wait to view that, to watch that. That'll be great. Thank you. I'll share what my church is doing these days. So we are still outside, but October 11th, it's been announced to the congregation that that will be our first Sunday back inside. They haven't announced what children's ministry, including special needs ministry, is doing, but as of this morning, I know what it is. So we will be going back in the building with limited class sizes, and that will include my special needs, ministry classes. So it'll be a combination. We're going to do, it'll kind of look like what we did before, but not really. Like our location has changed, and we're not going to have parents, in the wing, that children's wing at all, limited class sizes. No, when we do large group, we're not going to intermingle the different classes. We're going to set up a sensory area in this little kind of closed off room that's part of the large kids worship area, so that we can, instead of having like a self-contained classroom for our elementary, we will just have this sensory break room, so that hopefully, for the most part, our elementary age kids who are part of the special needs ministry hopefully can hang with the big group, but take that sensory break if they need it. So, and then my teens and adults, we're going to combine our older teens and adults, but I think our class sizes will be really small, which right now I have a really small number of volunteers, so it should work out pretty well. So that's what we're doing. So that'll be October 11th.
Beth, that's very similar to how it was for us when we relaunched, in a lot of ways, and it ended up working out better than we expected, and so I think you'll have a really good relaunch.
I hope so, and I think this model where we have this sensory, like, I hope that is what will continue, like, for the long haul.
Yeah, one of the things that we did, because we had like a brainstorming meeting before we relaunched, and someone suggested, because our whole format was going to be different, we actually rearranged our room. So even though our kids were going back in the same room, it looked different. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of nice because it helped them with the new structure, kind of all went together. So yeah. I see good things for you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm actually really excited, and especially after nailing down some of the logistics this morning. I'm very, very excited. The pickup and drop off, like it's still a little iffy to me, but we'll figure it out. Anybody else? Let's see, what kind of like for those of you who have moved back in for your church services, what does that look like? Are you doing a reservation system? It sounds like, was it Diana's church? It sounds like it's a free-for-all, pack 'em all in. What are some of the scenarios going on out there?
Ours is an RSVP for the children's ministry, but it's not an RSVP for the general worship. But we've seen more people are starting to come back, but because our church has so many families with school-aged children, if they can't get their kids in the children's ministry, then they don't come on Sundays. So we still are able to social distance in the worship center. But we are starting to see more people come each week because people are kind of calming down around here about COVID a little bit because our numbers are starting to go down, I think.
Are you in Columbus?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I have a son at Ohio State.
Oh, yeah.
In a fraternity house.
Oh, well.
They've all had it already.
Yeah. But I think that's what's happened here. People have had it and it's kind of going. So, let's see.
Kathy. So ours is going to be, once we're back in the building, the services will not be reservation because I guess like our leadership has been doing research and to seeing what other churches that are like our churches, like our church have been doing. And they felt like it's not welcoming, but our children's ministry definitely will. And that's just from that safety numbers, perspective. So, but we're going to have an overflow area. So if, even with some social distancing, if there's not enough seats, it could be live streamed into another area.
I was going to say, our church has been, they've actually been open since June, and they're still reservation only for both main worship as well as children's for all of our campuses. And I don't think they're planning on changing that here anytime soon with the reservation standpoint. I think I think they may be slowly seeing a small increase in families coming, but for the most part, my understanding, I haven't gone back yet since I'm such high risk, but my understanding it's kind of plateaued, talking with some of the families and that, but they're still trying to be as safe as possible, keeping in, requiring the precautions there for everybody. In the disability ministry, all the volunteers are required to wear masks, but the kids are not required. If they're able to, they can, but obviously it's not required for the kids then.
Yeah, and ours, I think I heard that when we are back in the building, that everybody attending service will have to wear a mask. I mean, as staff, we have to wear a mask in the building if we're not in a room by ourselves, so.
We're at Wheaton Bible. I'm at Wheaton Bible Church, and we have reservations for the service and for the kids ministry. And we had a bit of a panic this last week because we have small numbers allowed into the Shine, our special needs ministry. And this new family signed up for 3 of our spots and closed out the classroom at the beginning of the week. And I had a family text me really like, I can't get my second child in. They have 2 kids. And so I reached out to that family right away. I said, welcome to our ministry. If you can fill out the registration form. And they sent me a an email back almost immediately, like, oh, I'm so sorry. We didn't mean to sign up for that. Because I was registering my 80-year-old, 85-year-old, and 90-year-old aunts, and we thought it was, that was like a total mistake. So it was funny. I mean, it was funny in hindsight because we're like, okay, we have space for everybody again. So all my parents were like, we've got to get our kids back, like we can handle them again. We're fine. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, well, we are finding that for our outdoor Sunday school that we've been having, we have had to close out, like, because we've reached our max on,
right,
like elementary, for instance. So yeah, and then I mean, the poor parents are like, what?
Yeah.
Kathy is sharing in the chat that services are reservation for inside, outside parking lot 11, no reservations. Oh, parking. Okay, got it. Outside parking lot. Ends the end of October because of Chicago weather. You're right. That's why I'm in Cleveland. That's why October 11th, we're going back in. Surveying people now as to what will happen in November. Kids ministry is reservation, small numbers. Okay, so that makes sense. No inclusion kids as of yet. Our self-contained classes are on Zoom. Oh, and I am going to continue to do the Zoom thing with my teens and adults because I know for a fact they're not all ready to come back. So.
Yeah, we're going to continue probably until phase 5 with our Zoom meetings because they all have comorbid, medical conditions and not,
we want to make sure we're not leaving anybody out. That's for sure.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things we're doing a Wordle right now. I'm putting it together for our team, which is just a word wall. And we're going to try to put, just small phrases that we can share with each other about blessings that we've had through this whole thing. And also thinking about how we change our ministry going forward after this is all over, because we've had people that are in home and really literally can't get out the door, right? Individuals with intellectual disabilities that literally just for whatever mental health reasons as well can't get out the door. And what a blessing it's been to those families. So moving forward, we're doing a lot of exit slips about what we're doing now and how ministry might look different when we, get back to our new normal. So
that's great. Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully we've all learned new things. And I mean, a lot of it's really exciting, like how things have changed. So there's some good things.
I have something I'd like to put out there. So we're not going back to in-person school till at least January, and that's even insanely questionable. So there are a lot of families who are leaving the area temporarily to do remote learning, in Idaho, or driving across the country, or going to, Arizona, wherever they're going. So they're not here, or they're going to stay with family. And so, I think that presents a new, how do you keep those people connected? Because not only are they it's not just they're here in Davis and I could drop something off at their house, it's they're gone. And so I've heard more and more of that happening, especially for families whose parents, they're working remotely or whatever, and they could leave. So I don't know, I was thinking what do we even, and Zoom's not really an option because they're leaving they're leaving so they could do less Zooms. They could only do the Zooms they have to and then go explore or whatever. So I don't know, what do we even, I don't even know what to do about that. Right?
Yeah, so. That's a good one. And you're right. I mean, I have seen, people are hitting the road, and because when else in your life do you have the flexibility to, do your job, do your school from wherever you want? Yeah, anybody have ideas for Bronwyn? Or are you finding this in your own area, or is this a California thing?
I still can't say enough nice things about the prayer ministry we started in our special needs that with some of our volunteers, because it's not the same as a class, but it makes people feel like they're still cared for and still connected, because they're asking for personal, what is your prayer request? And people are really thinking about them personally. It's just an easy thing to do online. Because we're not having people that are doing what you're doing, because in Ohio we're at a hybrid school, but we had very few of our volunteers come back. Most of our volunteers are still worshiping online because we tend to have older volunteers. And this is just, it's just an easy thing to do that I've really been happy with.
So tell us more about what that looks like.
Okay, so what it looks like in our ministry, we had about 25 volunteers, and we had like 5 or 6 families. And so one thing I think is really important, I'm sure you guys do too, is with your volunteers is trying to get them up a step in leadership in their gifted areas. And so we're always looking for where people connect to their passion. So we put it out there. We'd like to start a prayer ministry for our special needs ministry specifically during this time to keep us connected. And 2 ladies stepped up. And so every month they send out a email to every person in our group. Like I set up a group forum asking for prayers. And then they personally get back to each person that has a prayer request. And they sent a time where they're praying together over it. And then for some people, they'll send out like cards in the mail. The first week, they actually sent out cards to every person in the whole thing, like 30 people. And it was just really nice. And they've just kept up with it every month. And it really is such a simple thing, but every time they send that out, I feel better. And so I know that it's got to be even more true for our families and our volunteers who aren't back in church, because I'm still seeing everybody, but it just makes you feel like a person. That's all I can tell you. And I think that is really what we're missing right now for people that are still at home or disconnected. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Barb, we did something similar. Over the summer, we had prayer meetings, but they were breakout rooms with Zoom.
Yeah.
We have a 2 deep policy, so even on social media, we have to have 2 deep in the Zoom room. So we put back a lot of our volunteers. Actually, we've gotten great, and Julie's mainly been doing this, but for the adults is just great, connection with the volunteers. Some who are elderly and can't, volunteer in our STARS ministry, but just, can't get back to service even. And actually they started doing it at 9 o'clock for our regular Zoom meetings. So our Sunday school, so that the volunteers could get to the next service, the in-service if they wanted to. But on Fridays, we're going back to prayer meetings, and we have, the STARS will sign up and then they go to different Zoom rooms. We've got to kind of categorize by, who likes who and who gets along with who, and age ranges and that kind of thing. And the volunteers have been amazing. We've had people that have moved out of state that are joining in, and it's been really, Brahman, for that, it's been really nice. If you can find it doesn't meet everybody's needs, but we had 2 a week in the summer. Now we're going back to just 1 a week. We did the same thing with postcards in March. When we started shutting down, literally the last day I was running postcards at the office with scripture, on it about, fear and, some of the main topics with COVID. And we've been sending those out, particularly to our young stars. And that's been just particularly those inclusion kids that aren't back, our self-contained classes are back, at least with Zoom, and we're feeling a community. But a lot of those guys are just kind of out there, and just trying to find ways. So the postcard's been helpful as well.
So Kathy, that made me think of something, and Bronwyn, I don't know if this would kind of meet that need, but you talked about mailing things, and Barb, you kind of mentioned that, that as well. What about, like, are you all familiar with Flat Stanley? Do they do that at your school? What if you came up with, your version of Flat Stanley and somehow engaged families that way? So the families that are either, trapped, like hitting the road or at grandma's or whatever, can, even if they're trying to stay off social media, they could still share with you a picture of, what Flat Stanley or whatever your I don't know what your dude would be, but, and you could then share that. You just kind of keep that connection going.
That's a great idea. We did that for our youth. Like, it was called Flat Josh, because that's like one of our youth directors. And people had like a really fun time with it. They're older kids, but I think the elementary kids, like, they all know him, so maybe we'll resurrect Flat Josh. That's a great idea. I didn't think about that. And I love the prayer connection too. I think that's a good way for people to feel, you know, like someone still sees them, right? Even if like they're in their RV in Texas, right, or whatever they're doing right now, that, you know, someone still sees them. So no, this is great. This is why I come to ask the questions to answers that I don't know, right? So thank you.
One of the other things that I thought about was, and we did this a couple months back, but we had them take just a quick video, like 20 seconds, saying welcome to church. And then I put a video together of all the stars, and they, before the service started, they ran that video. We did a similar thing for, we got a group, a musicians group that's a Christian music group that we were able to play in the background. We got permission to use their music, and we put a slideshow together and sent it to our a private YouTube channel for our nursing home in the area, and they were able to play it on their TV of, you know, just the stars talking with them, because they went and sang for them usually in May and weren't able to, and we've tried to be a blessing to those nursing homes in the area as well. And we're doing cards right now, and just, you know, because they're really shut in. So just trying to find ways to connect and to also make sure our congregation knows that the stars are still out there, you know. So we'll probably do another one of those videos again, but just, you know, in people that were out of state were, you know, sending in videos too. So, you know, it was all good.
A great service opportunity for the stars too. That's wonderful. Thank you. Awesome. All right, anybody else? All right. I think everybody knows, but there's this coming up very soon, first week of October. Key Ministry is helping to host the online pastors retreat. And so if that's something, you know, if you haven't shared that yet with your pastor, please do. And you can just go to keyministry.org and it's on the events page. I mentioned earlier, but not everybody was on yet. Even though today was officially the last day of our idea share, we're going to continue once a month. So the first Monday of each month, so actually next Monday is going to be another one. But I heard back from enough of you that this time is valuable enough to all of us that we need to continue on a regular basis. So first Monday of each month at noon Eastern time. And you will all, it's going to be a new Zoom link, so we're not going to use the one we've been using up till today. So I'll make sure you all get that. I kind of hinted that our next disability ministry video roundtable, so that's going to be October, I think it's the 21st, whatever the third Wednesday is. We're going to talk Christmas. So that will be our topic. And Doc, do you want to give a little plug for Wonderfully Made?
Absolutely. Sorry, my mute was stuck. Absolutely. So want to encourage everyone to sign up for the Wonderfully Made conference. It'll be October the 19th through the 23rd. Again, it's all virtual. We've got 65 speakers from all over the country, as well as Canada, that'll be talking at it. You know, I've got to tell you, my team, everything's pre-recorded. So we right now are going through watching them and editing them. We've got well over 100 hours worth of material, and it's just phenomenal. You've got to be at it. And the best deal on earth is just for $25. You can get a VIP package, which gives you access to every lecture we have for an entire year. Plus, we're going to be adding new curriculum throughout the year for it. So you can go to wonderfullymadekc.com to sign up. But again, that's wonderfullymadekc, just the initials, kc.com. And I'll give you all, I shared it on Friday at my Talk with Doc. If you put in the promo code Talk with Doc, everything capitalized, it'll take 20% off of your registration. So, you know, you can do that. It's great to get, you share it with your family, share it with your volunteers as well. We've got 2 tracks, 1 track for families, 1 track for ministry, but a lot of valuable information on there.
Great, thank you. So all caps Talk with Doc for the promo code. Before we leave, Al asked a great question. Is anyone doing anything for Halloween?
No.
No.
We're still not sure if we're going to be allowed to do Halloween here.
Even as a community, if you're
as a community, there's talk that we may be shut down. I know my parents live in Phoenix, Arizona. The governor has already said that Arizona will not do any trick-or-treating as a state. So, you know, it just kind of is going to really depend on each community.
Okay. Yeah, I know Kansas, you guys made it back on our naughty list.
Yep.
If I were to go visit you, I'd have to quarantine for 2 weeks when I get back. So
yeah,
I'm glad the conference is virtual.
It's thanks to the universities. They help drive everything up.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with that. So Lisa shared that they don't do Halloween, but they are doing a bonfire with their Awana kids and sharing a drama at the bonfire. That's very cool. I think I told you guys our church is going to do a drive-in movie in October. Did I tell you that? Anyway, totally borrowing from the great resource that Ryan put together for Ability Ministry. So, so I encourage you to check that out. So we don't have any like Halloween things. We don't normally do a Halloween thing, but this, we feel like, okay, here's a community safe event that can happen in October that, you know, the surrounding neighborhoods and all that can join in on. So, all right, well, thank you once again, everybody. I always enjoy seeing you and hearing from you, and I look forward to continuing to meet with you on a monthly basis. So you'll all get an email from me in the next couple days with the link for the first Monday of October. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.